Good day. Today I'll be talking about final project on what I did and how I built it, and my statistical analysis on what I did with the students and how they reacted to Moodle and to other management system, and how if they wanted to do it online or not. Here I'll show you the correlations between it and what I have found in my statistical analysis with using Python coding in Google Colab. So here I put in my functions for my correlation, and I read in my files. And I also read in my table as well. As you can see, I have a lot of data. So concerning from gender, age, level, and etc., all to face-to-face data, and my false and negatives with data that I need to build my project. So as we go down, we look into our background information. As you can see, there's 222 females and 144 males who took the test that were students. And as in the age count here, most of our students were at the age of 19 to 22, while our second most is 16 to 18, followed by 26 to 30. Mainly most people are in their bachelors. And when you get to their level, as we talked about before priorly, there's more of the people that took this statistic were more in their bachelors compared to the 131 that were in their associates, which is more than half of what the statistical analysis there was, the data that it was in. And even in the year, most of the students are on their second year, while a lot of people the second highest would be in the first year, following to the year third as a third year. Ironic, isn't it? When looking at the faculties, we can see FMSS has the highest amount of students that took this statistical analysis, and then close by with FST and FEA. When going down to our histograms, we can see face-to-face by itself. As you can see this data chart, most students, this like when I have here, that shows a higher percentage of students want the face-to-face class to come back again. And when I have put some face-to-face, it still was showing that they'd rather take face-to-face and was gearing towards it. But when I did all face-to-face, I noticed that the second highest percentage was that students did not want to take it. As we base it from 1 to 7, as 7 being you really want to go back to school, and 1 where you don't want to go back to school and would rather take it online. Even though 7 is greatly larger than the first one, we've noticed that the first one is not far behind. It's a pretty high percentage of students that take it online. It's basically University of Belize could also become a University of Phoenix. As we go down, we took a look at the histograms and what we used, and when we did the task technological fit, as we can see the graphs, they're slowly going upwards, even with Moodle and also with the Moodle Plus, etc., the stuff they use like Classroom and etc. When we go to the consequence, it also slowly moves up, even with Moodle, with slight differences in the percentages, and here is the only one that dipped really in compared to the rest that looked like stairs. As we hit our impact, as you can see, it's very variable, as the data keeps switching up and down. It was very surprising, but nonetheless interesting altogether. When we hit the consumeration, we noticed that it was a very bang average when it came to all the responses. With Moodle only, same as well. It was more of a bang average thing. As you can see, now this is where the statistical analysis is, where I've done the coding, where I use the coding that I learned from programming to make sure that I learned that I could bring out this. Instead of using SPSS that I usually use when I did my statistical classes, I learned how to do it in Python. So here in task technological fit, you can see that my HNO is there is no statistical difference in a task technological fit with students who use Moodle and those who use multiple LMS, compared to my H1 is there's a statistical difference in a task technological fit with students. So here I did my coding. As you can see, I put the coding in and I worked with it. I'm showing that I did it. And then when I went to my empirical, I put my conclusions that we would fail to reject. I have no hypothesis about that. There's a difference in how the students took it as a test technology. They're technological minded kids. And when it came to the consequences of it, I said the HNO the same thing. There is no statistical difference, or there is. As we can see from my empirical, a p-value, it is greater than my 5%, greater than my confidence. So in conclusion, we would reject the null hypothesis because there is a change. As there is a change, there is change. Same as the impact, the hypothesis as well. And when coming towards my empirical p-value, I also rejected the null hypothesis when I had 0.1836. And same as my consumeration, where if I scroll down towards it, I had a high 0.987, so I definitely rejected the null hypothesis as there was no change. I definitely rejected it. And when it comes to my R values, as you can see, the correlation between the test and effect to consequences, as you can see, there is a correlation. As you can clearly see the correlation here. When it comes to TTF to impact, there's also a correlation as well, and you can see it's 0.75, so it's definitely a correlation. Now, when it comes to consumeration, there is no correlation. As it kind of does look a little, but it looks very spread out. It doesn't look like it's a straight line. As I can see there, I believe there is no correlation. And when it comes to the next correlation between consequence to impact, and yes, there is a correlation. And when it coming down to the consequence to consumeration, there is no correlation, as it looks very spread out and this looks very random. Oops, sorry. And when it comes to impact to conservation, the last one, there is no correlation whatsoever. Thank you for watching my statistical analysis and my final project. You all have a wonderful day.